Hi everybody, this is a brief instructional video on how to do 5.08. So this is discussion newsroom reinvented. This is an assignment for credit and it is a discussion board assignment. So as you click on the link to go into the discussion board, you are going to look at this assignment. So what you're going to do is you're going to finish revising your story and then you're going to post it to the discussion board for your peers to review it. So by revising it at this point, what you need to have as much as possible is you need to make sure to have any type of heading, subheading, um, graphics, anything, pictures, anything that you want to have as a finished product you need to have in there. However, it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? That's what we're doing kind of the peer editing for, is for your classmates to give you ideas and things like that for what you're doing. So what you're going to do is you're going to finish revising your story as much as you possibly can. You are going to post it to the discussion board for your peers to review. You will then use the peer review checklist 4 times. So you do not necessarily have to use the checklist on the same article. So let's say I'm looking at Alexandra's article and I am going to show you the peer review checklist here. And let's say I'm going to be the assignment editor for her article and I'm going to assess her article from this point of view. And then I look at Contessa's and I'm like, okay, well, for Contessa's, I'm going to do the visual layout of hers. And then for someone else, I'm going to do the copy editor. Like I'm going to be the copy editor for their article. And then for, whoever else, I'm going to do the ombudsman. I'm going to do that for their article. So if you want to do a couple for one person, that's okay. Try and spread the wealth around is what I'm telling you. Like try and review various different articles so you're not reviewing only one person. The other thing I want to recommend to you is if 2 people have already done the assignment editor for an article, but no one has done their visual design, someone do their visual design. Does that make sense? So they're getting a well-rounded critique of their article and what they're doing. Okay, so we'll go back over that in just a second. So, but with that, what you're going to do is you are going to choose one of the 4 roles from the checklist for each of the reviews that you do. You need to assume a different role for each review. So like I said, you're going to do the ombudsman, you're going to do copy editor, whatever. You're going to switch it up and spread the wealth around. So when you have completed the review, be sure to post it to the discussion board. So when I'm grading these for you, you're going to have 5 things. You're going to have your news article that's as finished as you possibly can get it with pictures and everything. And then you are going to have the 4 different peer reviews that you're going to do. The news article that you are using is the 4.05 news article. Most of you have it written. It may not be perfect. It may not be 100% the way you want it, but most of it is written for you if you've turned it in. You may not have the graphics, you may not have the pictures, you may not have the bylines, you may not have the headline. Those are the things that you need to add before you do this discussion post. Okay, so that's super important. You need to try and get those pictures in there and make sure that everything is pretty much done, but not perfect. Okay, so from that, what you're going to do is as you're looking at the peer reviews, you're going to go in and you're going to look at the 4 different things you're going to kind of do a checklist on. So you're basically assuming the role of each of these people. So in the assignment editor, there's a list of things that you want to evaluate. And it's not too terribly long, it's pretty short. But what's the main idea? What's interesting about the story? what would make the story more interesting. So you're kind of critiquing, you're giving them that critique. You cannot just tell them, oh, it's great, because you're not giving them any form of help if you just agree with absolutely everything that they're saying. So if you do agree with what they're saying, that's good, but tell them why. Tell them what makes it good, or what's working for them, or what's not working for them. So the next thing that you need to look at are the 5 W's and how, right? So are those things in there? And then clarity issues. So does this new story lack clarity in any instance? Is there anything confusing, anything you want them to strengthen for you? So the other part of that is making sure that you have the visual design and editor layout. So this may be something that you haven't really thought about, or you haven't tried to do yet. So how would you describe the story's length? Is it too short, too long, just right? How would you describe the headline? Same thing, too short, too long, just right. The art, so this is where you want to make sure that if you have not added art of some kind, or graphics, or some visual, you want that to be in there. So is it relevant? Is it irre, sorry, oh my goodness, irrelevant. I cannot say the word irrelevant. What specific information do the elements add to the story? So you really want to make sure that whatever graphic you're adding in is something that's appropriate to your story, right? So make it fit in whatever way, shape, or form that you can. So then you're going to know you're going to be evaluated on that. Should there be subheads throughout to break it up visually? So a lot of times if you have a longer article, there's subheadings that kind of break up the story and make it easier to read. Are you going to recommend that they have subheadings? So is the proper story structure useful for this story? Is it inverted pyramid? Is it charticle? So you need to know what those things are, okay? So that's for the visual design editor layout. Copy editor. So you're looking at, is the headline interesting? What would make it more interesting? Why did you choose the headline? Why is it appropriate and effective for the story? You're also looking at if the article is free of misspelled words. So you're kind of looking at grammar, you're looking at spelling, you're looking at all of those different things. Are the names in the story spelled correctly? What are some facts that the writer should double check for accuracy? So not that we're necessarily going to know dates and locations and things like that, but if something as you're reading seems really off to you, mention it. You're going to want to say, yeah, that doesn't seem right. Maybe check that. Is the story clearly written? If not, what exactly does the writer need to clarify? So if there's anything that's vague to you, if there's anything that doesn't make sense, if it's not in a logical order, if it's kind of like bouncing around, that's where you're going to want to tell them something like that here, okay? So the ombudsman explores controversy or complaint and makes the judgment. So is the story fair and tasteful? Does it take into account all perspectives of those involved? Is it balanced? So you want to make sure that there's not a lot of bias there, right? You're wanting to make sure that your story is factual and that your bias is not in the story. Who might have a problem with the story, and what do you think they would have and do you think they would have a valid point? So is there anyone who would maybe like not I don't want to say not enjoy the story, but like go against what you're writing? Would there be someone to like offer some type of like some form of conflict? So you got to look there. So is there anything that the writer of the story could include to make it more accurate? So are they missing anything? So are they missing data? Are they missing pictures that maybe they could have added to the story? Should they have done another interview to get more support for what they're saying? And then the last thing is, do you think the writer reveals any personal bias? If yes, what is it or is not in the story that makes you think that? So those are the things that you're looking at. So you want to make sure that you're really focusing on those things. So again, just to reiterate, for this assignment, you are going to have 5 things that you're doing. You are posting your assignment as complete as you can have it with pictures, graphics, subheadings, headings, byline, everything that you want it to have in your story. It does not have to be perfect, but it should be well on its way to getting pretty much to the finish point. Then you are going to do one of these each for 4 different people. Okay. So you're going to do an assignment editor for someone, then you're going to pick someone else, and then you're going to do visual design, then you're going to do a buzzman, and then copy editor. What's super important to remember is if, like I said before, if there are several people who already have assignment editor done for them, do something else for them, okay? Because you're helping them get their assignment finished and complete. Um, the most important thing for this assignment is that you are critiquing. You are criticizing, constructive criticism for this assignment. You need to be positive. You need to make sure that you absolutely can tell them anything that you want to help them make their paper better. But remember, all of your criticism must be constructive, all right? So don't be negative in any way, shape, or form. So that's really long. We, of course, will be going over this in our live session next week because I want to make sure that you have plenty of time to get where you need to be, to have clarity on what you're doing, and ask as many questions as you need to. So if you have questions after watching the video, absolutely, please let me know. But we will hopefully see a lot of really good peer reviews and information over the next couple of weeks here. So I'm going to pause for just a second. So I did want to bring up the pacing guide for this assignment. And just so you know what you're looking at for this assignment. So it is opening on the 21st. The 25th is the due date, which is on a Friday. You do have until November 1st before that has to close down. So obviously we want everything to be completed by that point, but I am not going to be entering grades for this until the close date. So those assignments are going to stay ungraded until I give everyone the opportunity to do all 4 of those peer reviews. So if you, by the 25th, find yourself, oh my gosh, like there's no way I'm getting all these done, remember you have until that close date of November 1st before it's going to be closed out and you can no longer do the peer reviews. Okay, so with that, have a great week. And if you have questions, please let me know.